What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Talking Elite Fitness. Glad you're with us. I'm Sean Woodland with Lauren Khalil and Tommy Marquez. Lauren is in Nashville, Tennessee, getting set for the live open announcement of 24.3. Tommy is in his humble abode, and I am at home as well. I hope you guys are doing well. Lauren, how was the trip?
It was easy. There was no travel problems. I didn't fly American. I flied United. So we're doing well.
Awesome.
Wait, what's that face, Tommy?
I'm flying American on Thursday to London.
Oh, dear.
Overseas on American?
Marquez, in the history of travel problems in an airline that Lauren Khalil can't stand. What could go wrong?
I just want to stare the devil in the eye and not flinch.
Good luck.
Well, we got a busy show for you today. We'll get to that in just a second, everything we have on tap. But first, we want to thank our sponsors, and that is R.A.D. As you heard, Tommy is headed across the Atlantic to attend their Friday Night Lights event in London. We've been at their last two. Tommy was also in Southern California at the Paradiso CrossFit one, and then Lauren 2 weeks ago for 24.1 was at CrossFit South Brooklyn. And they have been fantastic partners. They're doing great stuff for these gyms, helping them elevate the experience on site. If you want to learn more about R.A.D., you can go to rad-global.com or just scan the QR code on your screen. They got some great shoes, great apparel, fantastic gear. Haven't yet to try the trainers that they have sent me, but I've heard nothing but good things. So looking forward to getting those bad boys on my feet.
Oh, they're great.
Oh, yeah.
I've done all my open attempts in them. They're amazing.
Really? All right.
Yeah, same.
Check them out.
Shoes.
I've got about 80 miles into the runners too, and they're very good.
80 miles.
Oh yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah,
My runners are still in the box, but that's because I'm not a runner.
If I'm running that far, it's because I'm being chased.
Me too. The trainers, they got a lot of miles though.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, we got some city miles on them, but the runners, yeah, they don't get a lot of use on the Woodland House, at least for me. At radglobal.com, scan the QR code on your screen. They're a fantastic company. They've been great partners with us, and we've really enjoyed working with them. On the show today, we're going to start with headlines. Got a lot to talk about. We're going to hear from Cara Saunders. Lauren talked to her yesterday, and we'll get into the subject of that interview in a second because it has to do with a couple of our headlines. And then we're going to talk about later on in the show, CrossFit has a new CMO, Chief Marketing Officer. We'll introduce her in the headlines, talk about that a little bit. But then on the back half of the show, we're going to get into a discussion about what do we want to see from CrossFit as far as marketing is concerned? Because I think if you asked anybody in this space what they wanted, you're probably going to get different answers because it's just sort of uncharted territory for this community, and I think this organization, as that position has been a little bit of a revolving door. Okay, headlines. First up, the 24.3 matchup has changed. Tia Toomey went to her Instagram account, and it's not a secret, she's been struggling with a little bit of a wrist injury, and she made the following on her Instagram page. Let me get
some disappointing news to announce. Unfortunately, I will no longer be participating in this week's open announcement due to my wrist injury that I've sustained over the last 2 months. However, CrossFit and the Proven team have come up with a really exciting announcement for you guys in replacement of me, and I hope that you guys are looking forward to it as much as I am. Again, I'm truly sorry, and I'm so sorry for disappointing anyone out there that was looking forward to seeing me participate in it. I know I'm very disappointed in it, but it is the best decision for me moving forward and looking long-term in the season. Good luck for the rest of the Open. I hope you guys have had a great time, and I'll see you on the leaderboard. Hey, everyone. All
right, there you go. So Tia is not going to be participating in the Open announcement. Still participating in the Open, just not doing the announcement. And it's funny because if you were just listening to that, you could hear the beeping in the background, and that is the typical noise that you hear at any gym that is hosting an open announcement of all the stuff being moved into the space. But what that means is that obviously the Ariel Lowen matchup with Tia Toomey is no longer a thing, but they have brought in 3 more athletes. You're going to get Roman Krennikov, Jay Crouch, and Sydney Wells are all going to be part of this. So It's still going to be a pretty big to-do there at Proven.
That's the 3-for-1 special.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and it's a bummer, obviously, with Tia not participating. I'm sure some people were excited to see that, especially with like
Mhm.
it being at the new proven facility. And it's kind of a I don't want to say a grand opening, but an aspect of that. The beeping of the forklift backing up, notwithstanding. Um, But I think having Roman Krennikov step in is fantastic. Jay
Mhm.
Crouch has had a phenomenal open so far and is an exciting athlete to kind of continue his ascension after last year. So I think we're going to have a good matchup. I think the Sydney Wells is a curious case too, because I don't think many people kind of picked her to make the games last year and then ultimately doing so. And then there's always going to be the tie to her sister where we can see what the own, I guess, quote unquote, genetic potential is there
Mhm.
too. So I do think that presents an interesting matchup depending on what comes out of the hoppers. And, it would have been cool to see Tia go against a podium athlete last year, but I think this is a nice pivot in such short notice.
Yeah, and I think it's also encouraging to hear that she's not doing the open. She's just,
Right.
going to figure out ways to do what's best for her to allow her wrist to heal. And I can only imagine doing an open announcement. I mean, she's Tia Claire to me. She would want to go all in, and
Mhm.
it's just the risk reward thing that it's at least encouraging knowing that she's not pulling out of the season. They're just kind of doing what's best for her to heal properly, and kind of gives the limelight to other athletes. Like you said, Sydney Wells, I don't know when she would have had an opportunity to do an open announcement. So it just kind of opens up the door to watch some other athletes participate in this.
For
Yeah.
sure. And I think more than anything else, more than a performance at the open announcement, people want to see Tia healthy performing at the
Mhm.
games.
Yeah.
So short term sacrifice, long term goal.
Right. Okay. Next headline. We mentioned this just a second ago, but CrossFit has a new CMO, so a new
Mhm.
chief marketing officer. Her name is Jenna Hauca, Hauca. Hauca. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Hauca. Either way, welcome, Jenna. She is from Barry's, where she has been the global head of marketing. She has worked at Barry's for nearly 6 years before moving over to CrossFit. Before that, she worked with, I believe it's Generator Media. She got experience as a firefighter and an EMT, and she has a bachelor's degree in neuroscience from Princeton.
Hmm. Great.
So an impressive resume as far as
Very.
her background. And look, she's from the fitness community. Barry's boot camp is not that dissimilar from CrossFit. Uh,
I think
there's,
I would say
there's some similarities, but it's not. There's
I
some
don't know.
similarities. It's not. It's. I don't know a ton about it, but it is. They're in the same ecosystem. Wouldn't you say, or not?
I would say that if you're looking for new leads outside of what the current CrossFit bubble is, yeah, they would probably be competitors if
Yeah.
you're trying to get a broader mass appeal. And um yeah, I think there is something to be said about working in a space where you had to basically break into a new market with a new fitness product and
Right.
really try to, kind of expand the global reach. But yeah, and she's spent a ton of time working in digital media and developing digital platforms based on her resume. And I know you love that she's a hockey player, Sean, and
I
just
do.
seems to be a general fitness enthusiast as well. Um, I know she recently climbed Mount Whitney, which is kind of cool too. But just having someone that lives and breathes the fitness environment, has worked her way up I guess I don't want to say corporate ladder, but maybe that's the right term,
Mhm.
and then done so working in the digital media and marketing space. So
Yeah. So last name is it's Hauca. I'm going to say Hauca.
Hauke,
Just sounds like a good hockey name.
yeah,
And we are efforting getting her on the show. I've already reached out to try to set up an interview because we would love to
Mhm.
talk to her. And we're going to talk later on in the show about just marketing CrossFit in general, because I think that's just a bigger discussion that we want to have that's not part of the headline discussion. And that brings us to the next one, is that CrossFit continues to put up huge numbers when it comes to viewership on their open announcements. Last week, they increased yet again. They had their all-time high in week number 1. Week number 2, they got close to 200,000, I think, peak concurrent viewers, give or take. I think we talked about this going into the announcement. When you bring in a guy who's got 4.6 million social media followers to do the announcement, which, by the way, I thought was fantastic. I don't know why people had a problem with that. Like, if you did not like that announcement, you don't like fun. It
I
was a
think it
block.
also was just like unfamiliar for people.
Well,
And sometimes people want to be critical if
Mhm.
they don't understand, or maybe they haven't watched WWE before and they don't get like the acting behind it and the hype. But I think overall, like that was just a loud group of people that, I mean, the views, they speak for themselves.
Yeah, and
I-
I think I think what might have helped that land a little better for people who may be a little unfamiliar with what you were talking about, Lauren, is if there were a bigger crowd live
Yeah.
at the event to kind of react a little bit more. But still, I thought Seth knocked it out of the park. I
Yeah.
thought it was cool that he afterwards even did the workout. I loved the Iron Hog nickname.
It's so
Oh,
good.
that was
Mertens, like that is
So good.
a stick, does it? I mean, that is fantastic.
Colton's team better be making merch right now. That
Oh
says
my
Oh,
God.
so
The
good.
Iron Hog. Oh, that's great.
good.
I mean, and at the same time, I think while I loved it, I think some of the confusion around like, who is this guy? It's like there could have been a little bit better lead into it.
I would agree
Like,
with that.
I think
Mhm.
CrossFit could have done a better job in promoting and leading in what exactly is going to happen here with the WDB. Now, there are hoops to jump through, but those are hoops that as an organization, you should be able to jump through and prepare accordingly to
Mhm.
get this done. Now, it's possible that this came together last minute, and so you wanted to kind of temper your contingency plan. But even if not, even if this was the plan, man, like give some people something to chew on about who this guy is and why he's got more followers on Instagram and more of a social reach and global reach from his sport than anyone else that's involved in CrossFit right now. So I do love that there was some hate for it though, because anyone who's familiar with the wrestling business, you got to have the lovers and the haters. You got to have
Yep.
the heel with the face. You got to have a little bit of heat to know that you're getting over with the crowd. So in the end, I liked it. Rollins is a CrossFitter through and through. And he spreads that message, and I think he was a good choice. And I just, man, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's a kid who grew up in the Attitude Era.
Mhm.
I just love seeing the strap.
That was great. I was really surprised that he brought it. And
Yeah,
I didn't know if he would be in full character like he was when we talked to him leading up. He had the glasses and the whole 9 yards, and it was
Amazing.
great.
Yep.
Like, it was just a lot of fun. And I mean, come on, let's not take this too seriously. It's would you rather have that or the burpees? I mean, and Dave's got his own style and people love it. And that's, the whiteboard or the blackboard and the whole 9 yards. But I just thought it was fun. This was the first, I think, guest announcement that really landed well. I thought landed really well. And I had people texting me who are not wrestling fans who said, man, Rollins has got to do this every week. I said, yeah, that was a lot of fun. So.
I like having options. Like
Sure.
I don't think Rollins should do it every week. Obviously, the man has work and business, and they're touring constantly. But I like having options and highlighting some of the noteworthy people that are
Yeah.
are a part of this community too. I think that's great.
And the strategy worked. I mean, they crushed their live stream viewing numbers. So that's, again, 4.6 million people tune into that guy on Instagram every day. And I'm sure some of them, out of curiosity, came over and checked out the stream. So more of that, please, CrossFit. Hopefully that momentum will carry on into semifinals, and people are going to watch those broadcasts. All right, next thing on the headline list is that we've had a couple athletes, one CrossFit related, one not CrossFit related, who have had to now sit out the season or have announced that they're not going to be competing. The first that we're going to talk about is Maddie Rogers, the Olympic weightlifter. She took to Instagram. It's on the screen right now if you're watching, but I'll read just a little bit here from her announcement on Instagram. She wrote, "It is with the heaviest heart that I announce that I am officially withdrawing from the remainder of Olympic qualification. I have been battling an injury the last few months, and unfortunately, it has reached the point of interfering with my training so much that it would just not be safe to put my body under the weights needed to be selected for Paris at the final qualifying event. I want to assure those who support me that this injury is something that I will absolutely overcome, and it just needs time. But this is the last thing that I have right now, as it has reached its worst with only weeks left to be in lifetime PR shape. Had this been earlier in the qualification process and there was time to allow things to heal, it would be an entirely different conversation. That almost makes it a harder pill to swallow, because I know I did absolutely everything I could to get through this, but unfortunately, Band-Aid after Band-Aid can only last for so long." And she goes on to just talk about being tired, needing a little bit of a break. But it's it just this is in it all started and just got to the point where my body just can't keep up with this.
I mean, 10 years with only taking 1, maybe 2 weeks off from high intensity, that is a long time of wear and tear, not just to your body, but your mental capacity. I even think of like after the open and after quarterfinals, I want to take at least a week of not going to a CrossFit affiliate, maybe dropping into a Globo gym just to like get something different into my system and think about doing that for a decade, but at her level. I mean, of course, it's going to wear and tear on your emotions and potential burnout, as she alluded to. But I think it's also very telling seeing athletes like her and several other ones that we'll talk about take a step back and be able to take time off, and not saying that it's necessarily the end or retirement, but just doing what's best for them, maybe before it turns into like a bigger mental health issue.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, obviously qualification standards have changed over time, but like on the US side, the qualifications, particularly on the women's side, have been extremely hotly contested. And if you think like you have to have a certain amount of participation and high level competitions in your belt and the different quads, and you have to consistently be performing at a high level in order to qualify, you know, and weightlifting, you can only enter a max of 3 athletes per gender, at least for the US. And so, you know, you look at even back, you know, some great athletes that are kind of CrossFit adjacent. Jessica Salvaggio, which is formerly Jessica Lucero, who is the wife of Christian Lucero, a games athlete, like basically was setting American records left and right and didn't get to go to the Olympics because of how it relates on the on the international scale. So you're talking about a young athlete, and Maddie Rogers has been doing Olympic qualifying since she was 18 years old, constantly trying to meet this standard. She's adjusted weight classes. She's gone up in weight class, which adjusts your training when now you're trying to maintain a heavier weight, not just for your lifts, but consistently throughout training in order to regularly get used to hitting those standard weights. That's exhausting on your body. And I mean, it just sounds like it all kind of came to a head, both physically, emotionally. And she's posted some training stuff since about how low impact it is, and her going back into the gym to hit the class times. She's a product partially of the CrossFit world. She competed at the very first exhibition teenage games back in 2010. So she is someone that has a history in that, and it looks like she's maybe leaning back on that just to maintain a baseline. So you hope that she's able to kind of get healthy and recapture it, because she's certainly one of the favored athletes as far as weightlifting in the United States is concerned. You know, her coach Amy Everett is, you know, the head weightlifting coach for HWPO, and a beloved figure and an awesome coach. So you just hope that this is just a bump in the road, as difficult as it may be, because the Olympics only come around once every 4 years.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
And we have reached out in our efforting an interview with her just to talk more about her decision, and maybe even how she's getting more involved with CrossFit now and inside her local box, and doing very low box jumps the other day because it felt good for her.
Yep.
Well, the next person we want to talk about is in CrossFit, and that's Ellie Turner. And she took to her Instagram as well. And I believe she posted, it was a reel. I think this is the one right here. There's a video that she accompanied with her post, and she wrote, I'm not competing in the 2024 CrossFit Games season. I'm devastated and still trying to process that I won't be competing in what would have been my 7th season. I love competing, and I know I want to do this for a long time, which sometimes means making a short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. I'm not healthy mentally or physically, and haven't been for some time now, and that's not how I like to compete. I know what I want to achieve, and honestly, me doing the season this year wasn't going to move me closer to that overarching goal, but that doesn't mean this decision was easy to make. This also doesn't mean I won't be competing all year. I'm just taking a step back from the traditional CrossFit Game season, traditional in quotes, and will hopefully be back on the competition floor later this year. I'm not okay right now, but no, I will be. CrossFit is what I do, not who I am, and I know I'll make the most of the situation. Bye for now, but not for long. Here we have it's another athlete saying that mentally, you know, I need a break, and we wish her all the best and hope that she is able to, you know, find out what makes her happy and get back in the good headspace and be back on the competition floor. Because I think this is someone who showed a lot of promise and was certainly, if you look at the competitions where we've seen her at a high level, was on an upswing.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and she's somebody who hasn't done CrossFit for that long. When did she
Yeah.
start? Like
Well, she
2017,
is their 7th season.
2018?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so she is still so young in the sport, but she got good so quick,
Mhm.
that I mean, and I can imagine that again, we haven't spoken directly to her. We're efforting that interview as well, but
Mhm.
also dating the two-time fittest man on earth. I wonder what kind of like pressure comes from that as well.
Sure.
Because he's under such a limelight and then she's a rising star under this limelight that, we just wish her the best. And
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, it's important. It's not just the mental too. They go hand in hand with the physical. She's been dealing with an injury since she withdrew from the games last year.
Mhm.
Um, the version of Helen, it was almost I think like a microcosm of it. She was fighting through just to kind of get through that. There was a ton of emotion into that performance. You could see the crowd trying to will her. She's in tears, fighting to finish. And I think that just ended up being like a picture, a snapshot of probably what she's been dealing with more than she's let on, because the
Mhm.
nature of this sport is oftentimes we only see little bits and pieces until they step out onto the competition floor. I know she's since had to, withdraw from other competitions, I believe Wadapalooza included. So it's something that she's actively managing an injury on top of the mental state that comes with the back and forth. Am I okay? Can I train today? Is this something that's going to pop up? Especially if it's something serious like a back. Man, Sean, you've dealt with it. I've dealt with back issues in the past too. That is something that is just creeps in the back of your mind, even if you feel totally okay, until there's a time when you know for sure
Yep.
that you're 100%, and that's tough to deal with. And I know there's aspects of Ellie's story that also play into this as well, as in terms of the emotional and the mental well-being, that I know she'll share in the future. But right now, the mature decision is to step away.
Yeah.
We've said this before, but the long-term health and wellness of her career is much more important. And
Mhm.
kind of to double down on what you said, Lauren, like we hope she takes the time to reset, get healthy, feel better, maybe reinvigorate her passion for the sport and why she's doing it. And I think it's clear that she has some tremendous support around her, Justin, as well.
Mhm.
All right. Well, those are our headlines for this week.